Welcome back. In a time where things are falling apart, one man tries to give you good real estate content. Yes, that's right. Sean Ray Realtor here. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. See you at the end.
All right, so Anthony, what is your story? How did you turn into this person that was renting an apartment and your lease was up and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna try this Airbnb info that you've been talking about and then decide to do this huge project? I mean, this house, we initially walked through the house back in June of 2018. That was after many months of you already having the property. And then it still was, the floors were torn, and then all the renovations. What made you want to take on that massive project from being a traditional renter to like a big time, first time real estate investor?
Well, so that's a great question. I was just living my normal life, living my best life.
Living my best life. Ain't going back and forth with you. I'm living my best life.
Renting an apartment over by Uptown, and got a new job and making a lot more money. And that's when I was like talking to you, learning about the basics of real estate investing, and I was interested in that. And learning about the traditional renters and getting a lease after you buy a house and things like that. But we were looking at houses, running the numbers, and then you kind of threw in the idea of house hacking with a duplex, and that got my mind ticking. So I started researching house hacking and buying a duplex, living in one half and renting out the other with a traditional renter. And then you kind of threw in the idea of Airbnb as well. So we started talking about that. We had Sean Rakizic with Airbnb Automated, who does corporate leases and rental arbitrage and doing Airbnb through that. And so we kind of picked his brain on what his ideas were, and we were running the numbers we found this duplex. Originally it was $370,000. We thought it could make sense somewhat. It would be a big risk, and then we negotiated it down to $315 and looked at the numbers, and I knew it would be a big undertaking, but I was kind of ready to make that step. I was single, didn't have a significant other, didn't have any kids, didn't have any pets, had a job where I had a lot of flexibility. I felt like it was the best time to take that risk, where if everything failed, I would just kind of start from scratch again. My credit score would probably tank, but I'd just rebuild it. So yeah, that's kind of where I was feeling, and then just made the jump.
Cool. All right, so let's talk about this deal. So what got you to buy this house over any other houses? And then once you saw it, what did you feel about it? And then also, how much money did it take to actually get into the house? Like to buy the home? I know that there's always going to be costs after you buy it, but just to buy the actual initial purchase, how did that go?
Yeah, so it was basically, looking at different houses that were for sale. I was originally looking for a single family home just to live in myself and then maybe rent like a room or two out. But then we found this duplex, and it's very, very close to the Bishop Arts District, which has been an up-and-coming neighborhood for a few years now, and it's booming, especially in the past year. So it's a duplex, so I could live in one half, and that way the money that I was paying for my apartment would essentially cover part of the mortgage. Even if nothing else really worked out that well. But the numbers just made sense. Got the duplex for $315 purchase price. The seller, gave some concessions for the closing costs and some of the foundation work. And then I got like a $10,000 gift from my mom to help pay for the closing costs. So I only came out with essentially $8,000 out of my pocket for the 203K loan, which is an FHA loan of the mortgage plus the renovation costs. And so essentially I got $130,000 of renovations as part of the loan. So essentially a $450,000 mortgage on this, and I only paid $8,000. And it increased the value. The after repair value, ARV for short, was originally it was $470, and so it should be over $500,000 by now, and would afford me within at least a couple months or to a year, I'd be able to pull out some cash in a refinance and be able to put that money into another property.
So you got the house, and you got it for a sick deal, and you only put like $8,000 to get into it. So the day that you actually bought the house, you got the keys, you opened the door, and you're like, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? I hope Sean knew what the heck he was talking about, because this place looks like a nightmare. So from that day all the way till the day that you actually started listing on Airbnb, did the renovations go as planned? Did you learn anything in the process? Was there any surprises? And then with that, is there stuff that you learned as a first-time person doing this that they probably need to know as well if they're getting into the same kind of process as you did?
Yeah, so I was brand new to everything, first time buying a house. Never did anything with construction or renovations or anything like that. So I was learning as I went. I had tried to, watch all the podcasts and read all the articles, but you can only learn so much, and you don't want to get into the habit of just constantly trying to figure everything out beforehand, because then you just won't ever do it. So I had to make the jump, and then I was asking my lender, like, okay, what am I going to expect next? I was asking Sean, trying to figure out what to expect in the closing process and everything like that. So with the renovations, the inspector, I got referrals from him, found a foundation company that he recommended, and they're the ones that did all the foundation work and the flooring. And so they found issues with on the bottom floor where the previous owner, they had messed up, the bottom of the walls. They had stuck like 2x4s everywhere to try to level it out. So they had to cut the bottom foot of all the walls down there, and fix the foundation work and fix the walls. And that was like an extra $7,000 in costs for them, which they actually didn't charge me for, just mainly because I used them from a referral from the inspector, and they get a lot of business from that guy. So I really lucked out on that part. But besides that, some other things that you'd have to note for renovations, you're always going to get like certain dollar amount and certain time frame that they expect it to be done in. You should have a contingency, or add some maybe 10-15% on top of the money and the time for them to complete it, because there's going to be things that come up. I had a lot of work done on the house, so that kind of minimized the number of things that could come up, but there were still things that happened, like that foundation issues that had to be dealt with. So I had like a 2-month estimate for the renovations, and it ended up being about 3 months. A big win that I considered is, besides the walls that I took out or kind of extended this wall into the living room a little bit and cut this one in half, I think I lucked out, because it was my first time, but I lucked out with all of them working out really well. But another thing would be changing a bedroom into a bathroom. It was a 4-bed, 1-bath up here, and I was going to put it up on Airbnb to sleep up to 15 people. But after I was like thinking of how to decorate everything and how everything was going to work out, all the logistics, I started thinking that's way too many people to have one tiny bathroom and one shower, that it's going to take them forever to get ready for anything or anything like that. So I made the decision to change the smallest bedroom into a bathroom. It was on the opposite side of the house up here, and kind of gave a lot of space between the bathrooms. But I think that was actually one of the best decisions I made throughout this entire process, especially making a dual shower head, stand-up walk-in shower that's the whole wall in that bedroom, or now bathroom, which everybody says is gorgeous. So they love the bathroom, and everybody just praises it.
So now you're trying to get the whole home furnished, and did you get all the furniture at the same time, or was it sporadic? And also, was there anything that made anything other than the furniture make the delaying of the process to get the thing listed faster?
Yeah, so it was pretty rough on trying to get all the furniture. I was trying to do the best I could about getting things in the order that I thought. So my main thing was getting the big items first, like all the beds, the couches, the futons, and things like that, which didn't really work out. So I was scouring it and kind of stayed on Facebook Marketplace all the time, waiting for a really good deal. And then not only did I have to wait for a good deal, I'd have to be one of the first ones to message them and then I'd also have to schedule it where I had to find a friend with a truck or rent a truck to be able to go pick it up. So those kind of made it a hassle on getting the big furniture in here. But after that, it was basically just trying to get all the other decor here. And so I somehow got really good at scheduling it to where I could pick up everything and drive in like a big circle around Dallas and then just come back and just pick up all this random stuff that I knew I was going to need. I kept a list on Google Keep on my phone at all times of things that I needed, things that I got, and it was a checklist. So once I got it, I put how much I paid and where I got it, and then just checked it so it moved down. And then it was just a list of pending items to pick up or things that I was going to need in the near future. And then I was pretty much done. I was about a week out from finishing everything. And then I was in the kitchen drilling a hole to hang a rod to hang pots and pans from. And I ended up drilling through a water line. And so that spewed water all in the wall, in the kitchen, all over the floor, in the bathroom, on the floor, all the way down to the first floor, the ceiling, the bathroom, kitchen, ceiling, and then the walls, and then the ceiling in the hallway. And that was a lot of fun. So I had to get someone out to restore it. And that was right after there was a big flood in Dallas, about 4 days after. So all the restoration companies were super swamped, super busy dealing with all that. So I had to find like some mom and pop company to come out. And they did their thing. They had a lot of fans, cut holes in the drywall and all of that. And after a week of that, drying everything out, making sure there's no mold, I had to get the floors and the ceiling and the walls all replaced. And then I was back to where I needed to be. And so that put another 2 to 3 week delay in getting everything up on Airbnb.
Okay, cool. That's cool, man. That's good to know. And so if you were to buy another property tomorrow, then where in Dallas, I know a lot of people ask me all the time, where should I buy an investment property? Where's the best Airbnb deals? If you had to pick three areas of Dallas to be looking in right now for your next property, where would you focus?
Buy in Austin, don't buy in Dallas. That's my
He doesn't
problem.
like competition.
No, I would first probably start in the same area, Bishop Arts, because it's still growing rapidly. The prices are getting a little up there, so it's kind of hard to find one that's really good value. But besides that, there's also West Dallas over by Trinity Groves. That's a real quickly developing area. So there's a lot of like teardowns and new builds, so you can find a really good brand new house and you can buy it for pretty cheap and have a good amount of equity in there to start. There's also over by like Fair Park over in East Dallas. There's, especially for Airbnb, you're going to have a lot of people coming for like the State Fair or even just random things at Fair Park, and it's still close to downtown Dallas. So those are three good areas.
Cool, man. Thanks for that insight. And so we're going to wrap up here, and I want to do the most boring part of the video. So if you guys have actually watched this far into the video, kudos. You're serious about your future, and I applaud you. But let's wrap up on the most boring note. Give us some rough numbers. Like, let's talk about just the math. Like, how much did it cost to get in? How much did you spend out of your pocket? And then how much were the renovation costs? How much were the furniture? And then ever since then, how much you pay per month? What are some unforeseen payments? And then how much have you been getting paid by Airbnb? And overall, like, was it worth it?
Yeah, so the purchase price of the entire duplex was $315,000. I got the seller to pay up to, I think, $5,000 for closing costs, and then up to $10,000 for the foundation. So foundation was $14,000, so they gave the whole $10,000. Closing costs, they could only give up about $6,500, so that's how much they chipped in there. And then I had a $10,000 gift from my family, and so what I had to bring to the table in cash to closing was $8,000, give or take. So all of that put me into the house with a $445,000 mortgage. That's after the purchase price plus the renovation costs. So that translates to about $3,000 a month as my mortgage payment with the PITI. That's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. and that's with an FHA loan, so that has MIP factored into there. So it's a little bit more than with a conventional loan. So the goal with that was just to get in with as little cash as possible, so I was fine paying that monthly amount for a year or two, because my plan is to refinance after a couple years, and that way it would get rid of the MIP. So I got in with little cash, paid that little MIP for a few years, and then get rid of it, and so I'd have a lower monthly payment after a couple of years. And so after that, what I knew was with the renovations, the taxes were going to increase. So unfortunately, the lender couldn't factor that into the mortgage payment at the beginning. We had to wait until the taxes came out, and so my payments right now are $38.80 a month, because it was about $400 a month to pay for the previous year's tax, and then about $500 a month to increase the amount in the escrow to help pay for the future taxes. So it'll probably stay about $3,500 a month going forward until I refinance. But then after that, there's all the electricity, the gas, the water, and everything like that. So that's all variable. This past month, I had a really high electricity bill. Usually it's been about $50, maybe $100 in the summer, maybe $150 like in July, not in June and July, the middle of the summer. My last one, I don't know what happened, but it was like $300. So that was a lot to take in, but I'm bringing in enough money here, so I had no problem paying it. But the first couple months, I was averaging about $4,000 in revenue before I put up the downstairs on Airbnb. And so once I had that listed, that was about 6 months ago. March 1st was when it started. I've been averaging about $8,000 a month. So that, with the $38.80 payments now, which just started like the past 2-3 months, and then the gas, water, utilities. So that's probably about $4,500 a month that I'm paying for the mortgage and everything, and then bringing in about $8,000. So I'm making about $3,500 a month with this property. So it's taken a lot of effort, but I'm really happy with where I'm at and what's in the future. So.
Okay, so thank you so much for being so open with all the stuff that you have to share with us today. I know I learned a lot of stuff, and I think that a lot of people out there, if this is their first time ever watching this, and they're just now thinking about getting to Airbnb, then there's so much information, so much valuable information that you shared. But here's the question. To wrap it up, if you had to talk to your past self a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, right before you started doing this, what are the top 3 things that you would recommend to yourself, just the advice to get yourself started, make sure to look out for this, or make sure to do that? Something along those lines that could really change someone's life that's watching this video right now.
Top 3 things. Okay. I would probably say first one is do your homework, kind of get at least a general idea of what you're getting into. That way you kind of know, the risks that you're taking, some things that are pretty standard that you should know to expect. And then once you understand the risks, you kind of can know how to mitigate those risks, so where they're not as big of an issue if they do happen. Second thing is just do it. Don't overanalyze things. Don't just try to research all the time, nonstop, until you feel like you know everything, because you're not going to. Nobody knows everything. People might know a lot more than other people. They might pretend like they know a lot more than other people and just talk about it, but nobody's going to know everything. Just do it if you're actually serious about getting into it. That's one thing I did, and I'm so grateful that I did. It took me a while, but finally did it, and I'm so happy that I did. Third thing is enjoy the journey. Stuff's going to happen no matter what. Bad things are going to happen, good things are going to happen. That's something that I try to just take in stride and try to learn from everything, whether it's good or bad. If it's good, kind of figure out what I did that could have helped that outcome. If it's something bad, figure out what I could have done to prevent that from happening. So enjoy the journey, have a great time. Nobody likes a sourpuss. Try to be happy and enjoy life.
Cool, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Not only are you a good client, but you're also a good friend. And if you guys want to see more with Mr. Anthony, then we have many videos with him involved. We have the first initial video that I filmed on my little GoPro back in the day in 2018, and that was rough, so be prepared for that. But that's basically while the floors were all ripped up and everything was, we ended the video with us flying kick into the wall and hammering the wall, and it was a lot of fun. So if you want to see a really crappy made video but fun video, check that out. And also last week we did a walkthrough with his property as it is right now. And so if you guys want to see this property that we're talking about, then you get to see in detail a full-on walkthrough. So thank you guys so much for sticking around, and I want to retire you as fast as possible. But the only way I can do it is if you like, subscribe, and make sure to put that bell ringing thing, you know, ding, and that way every time that I have a new video coming out, then it will let you know in your notifications. All right, I look forward to seeing some of your comments. I want to answer them individually, and hopefully with that, every single comment that I answer, it gets me one step closer to retiring another person, and that's all I really care about. All right, guys, thank you so much. This is Sean with Sean Ray Realty, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for watching that. I know sometimes these get a little long-winded, but with Anthony, he doesn't really have a personality, and so we love him either way. And you know, sometimes you just gotta stick with your friends whether they have personalities or not. So he's making money though. People like him for that. They like him for his money. Thanks to me. If you want to make money, make sure to follow my channel, like and subscribe, comment below. I'll see you in the next video.